The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. All right, see y'all on the other side. What's up, everybody? I'm Nigel Hall.
I'm Derrick Freeman.
And this is a very special episode of The Shadow People. Today's guest, I am honored to welcome a true music icon, Patrice Rushen. She's a Grammy nominated and winner, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, composer, and producer who influences spans of jazz, R&B, funk, and beyond. And you probably know her most from her timeless hit, Forget Me Nots, but her career is much, much more. She's broken barriers as one of the first female musical directors for the Grammys, worked with legends across the industry, and inspired generations of artists with her innovative sound. Patrice is also a passionate educator shaping the next wave of musicians. Please join me in welcoming the greatest of all time, Patrice Rushen. Patrice, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you here.
Glad to be with
Thanks
you.
for coming. We appreciate you.
Yeah, how you
Yeah.
been? How's everything been going?
Oh man, it's been gangbusters. Everything has been great.
That's all right.
I just got back from touring in Japan
Mm-hmm.
with my band, and we had a great time. The people were wonderful.
That's awesome.
Music went great. So, backstage side and ready for the next series of adventures.
That's all right. That's all right. So you were in what part of Japan were you in?
We played Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
Yokohama, and Osaka.
And Osaka. Yeah, that's awesome. I played I did Billboard Osaka once. I think maybe a few years ago with Lettuce, and we went over there, and they were just
That's the hood of Japan.
that's that's the hood of Japan. It kind of is though. It kind of is, but it was really cool because they treated us really good. Like I showed up. I'm always usually the one bitching about backline, and
Yeah.
I show up because usually, I'm always I can have this kind of conversation with you because we on the same wavelength. But when I'll have a Rhodes and a CP70 and or
Okay.
B3 and Mini Moog, all of that stuff, and you go. I'm also just coming back from a run where I kind of had some questionable backline, and I usually got to get in there and fix it because I like my Rhodes to sound a certain way, and you got to get in there and like kind of do the adjust the timbre of everything. Man, they had me playing on some dogs this weekend, and I was like, but I went over there and everything was just like perfect. Like they take care of their stuff. So
Yeah, they get
that
it right. They get it right. They get
Yeah, that
everything right.
yeah, they usually do. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
It was really-
the whole culture.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
It's about a certain kind of pride in your work
Mm-hmm.
and detail.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so that has always been the case. And when you say you need something a certain way, if they commit to doing it, then they commit to doing it the way that you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's something about that ideal and consciousness that we could use, that we could borrow from, and put that back into what it is that we do.
Mm-hmm.
When we make a commitment, that we stick to it, and that there's a pride in us being able to deliver it in the way that it has been requested and that we've committed to. So I think that's cool. I know the problem that you have with backline because even myself, even now,
Mm-hmm.
there are those situations where you say specifically, okay, I'd like to have this and I'm going to need X, Y, or Z. And everybody goes, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And get there and it's something entirely different. Now, the
Yeah,
problem
exactly.
Well, at least the Rhodes is like an actual. There's only like one. Drums is very arbitrary.
No,
Right.
no. This would be like, I don't know, something that you do, that you uniquely do,
Mm-hmm.
and they want you to do what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Then they don't give you what you need to do it.
Right.
And
That's right.
that's really what's a shame, that doesn't seem to always be that connection. All roads do not sound the same.
Yeah, of course. I know. I'm just
They all
Right.
sound different.
of course.
And Nigel, one of the things that, we may talk about, I don't know, is then how do we get around that type of thing so that we can minimize the idea that we won't have what we need in order to do what they have called us to do.
Right.
So what I
Right.
started doing is I don't take a Rhodes anymore.
Right.
I programmed my sound or the sound I want to hear into
Mhm.
things that I know they can get.
Right. That's
So
right.
then when I show up, if long as they get that, I can bring my
You
little
got-
flash drive
Right.
and I know I'll have what I need. Now sometimes some people still get it wrong. But
right.
I'm trying to minimize, the
Right.
chances of that
What
because
can I do
the
to
audience
keep? Yeah.
doesn't understand that. They came to see you do what you do.
Right.
And they don't know about all that other stuff. That's the magic in live presentation is that you're
Mhm.
there to do what you do. And the audience is there to receive it. So you need to have what you have. I don't like to go on and on about it, but I know what you're talking about.
Nah,
Nigel.
that's what
Drag.
that's what this one is for.
Yeah,
like
no.
that's what we do over here. We
Right.
don't play around. Like if you want to know what's going on, you come see us, and we got it for you.
And I'm curious because as a producer, like it's hard when your producer brain takes over. How do you shut that off? Like you just got to be a performer. People here to see you perform, but the production is not up to par. So you got to do you have to be extra as a performer when you do that, or you just
Well, I mean,
when it gets annoying? I mean, how do you deal with it? Is
Well,
what I'm
you have
saying.
to figure out how you're going to get around it, but
Yeah.
that takes away from your performance.
Right.
Right.
It would be like you going in the studio to produce somebody. You get there, and half of the outlets don't work.
Drew knows about that.
Right?
That's Drew's whole life.
Or you get there and the Pro Tools file didn't load properly.
Yeah.
Right.
It takes you adjust. You're an adult. You can figure it out, but it takes you away from what you're supposed to do. Now, if you're supposed to walk on a stage and play for people who have spent lots of money, they're there with an expectation.
Right.
You've been advertised to do something that they're set up to hear you do. The people
Mhm.
who called you want you to do that. And then
Mhm.
you get there and you sit down to play an instrument, and the instrument is a toy.
Right.
You're a professional. You gonna make the toy work? Well, you're gonna have to figure it out. But the same energy that you use to try to make an apple an orange could have been using to make the performance
Exactly.
great.
Exactly.
And I don't understand it because, Nigel, you're a keyboard player. I'm a keyboard player. When I come in, you're asking me to do that. You're asking me to play keyboards and sing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have the instrument that I need. That'd be like asking Wynton Marsalis to come in and play but you can't. But we don't have you can't use your trumpet, or you can't use
you gotta
your
use this plastic
mouth.
horn.
Right.
Use a new mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
I always have this joke where I always talk about, asking for certain things for backline. And I said, look, if I could just get a Rhodes, fine. In fact, this actually happened to me one time. I had a gig in Mobile, Alabama.
Mm.
And then people told me I asked for 88 suitcase Rhodes, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, we can get that. That's fine. That's easy. I'm like, all right, as long as you got that, then I got another keyboard player. He bringing his stuff. As long as there's a Rhodes there, I'll be fine. I showed up there and it was a Casio Privia. And I was, she said, oh.
Speaking of toys.
Yeah, speaking of toys, when you said that, it made me think of that. I said, oh, Lord, you really want me to play this thing? And
Well, there's not an understanding, and I think that that's part of what, we can talk about if you like. There's a lot of emphasis on people who are learning to play or this or that, and there's not as much emphasis, and there should be by now,
Mhm.
on people who have a certain kind of musical understanding and want to be in music, that there are
Right.
jobs that exist where they are very key and very important, and the most knowledgeable people
Mhm.
are also people that appreciate what the musicians and the performers, artists are needing,
Right.
and they know how to provide that.
Right.
So the people that sent you that Casio didn't know what a Rhodes was.
Right.
The people
What-
that didn't have the backline that you asked for didn't care enough about the end game to provide
Right.
you, probably out of a certain amount of ignorance. And I don't mean
Right.
that in a negative way. I just
Right.
mean they don't know.
Because
So
you
when
can't
we're
be held
training people,
accountable for that, right?
So
when we're training people, we also need to be training that part. People
mhm.
who understand, who may not become performers or may not enter the music industry in that way, but are
Mhm.
conscious about what it takes to offer, instruments. And there's lots of jobs like that. And those are people that are a lot of times very consistently paid the most because they
Right,
know how to take care of that part of the business. They work all the time.
right. That's one of it's funny you bring that up too, because we had on our last episode we had DJ Soul Sister, who is a legendary DJ from New Orleans in this area, and she does a great deal in teaching people about music and how dope it is, and like here's the dope shit. You know what I'm saying? But we also had a conversation about Essence Fest, and like there was a lot of things going on in Essence Fest this year that kind of made the news, so to say, about how in terms of the professionalism and how people could have gotten some things right had they just been able to do the research and had they been able to Stephanie Mills, I'm not sure if you saw it, but she wrote an open letter to Essence. And she just basically was just saying, hey, look, we asked for certain things and we didn't get it. And, she's like, I don't know whose fault it is, but, basically y'all need to get this right if y'all want to keep,
It's the same old thing over and over again. Everybody loves music,
Yeah.
and therefore everybody thinks they can do it. But the
Right.
problem with it is that that lack of awareness
Mhm.
is just there are there are professionals who know how to produce events.
Right.
A concert is an event.
Yes.
There are professionals who know how to produce specifically
Mhm.
concerts events.
Mhm.
Those events require certain kinds of things that need to be worked out by people who are professional. One of which has to do with the production in terms of what has to happen and be there so that the artists on the festival have what they need to be able to do what it is that they're supposed to do, what it is that the festival has asked for. That's a profession.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would
That
be
is.
like, asking a dentist to do heart surgery. They're a doctor, but they're not a doctor for that.
Right.
And so when people say, yeah, I just want to produce some concerts or something like that, there's a
Mm.
lot of information and a lot of things that they should know that a lot of times they don't know. And where it falls short is on the people who, are supposed to be the entertainment and be the entity that is being produced.
Now, I have a quick question. Now, how do you think we develop of that in our industry? Like, for example, I feel like oftentimes when you're dealing with some promoters or some producers or event planners or whatever, that they reduce things to a line item. So it's like concessions, flowers, band, sound, and it's like, okay, you want to make that a line item, but you have to extract that and be like, okay, if you want this band, there's 6 professional people that make up that band, or there's 5 people that make up this sound company,
Right.
and like, I for some reason I think some people don't understand that when it comes to music. You know what I mean? And like, they don't understand the pay scale, they don't understand what it goes into, because they're just trying to scratch out something on their line item, and it's
They
like
cutting corners.
right, and it's like, well, you got 6 musicians and 6 sound people coming. That's 6 professional people who had to, spend time and go to school, learn their craft, all this. They don't think about it that way. I'm like, how much would it cost you to have 6 plumbers come here for 6 hours? You know what I'm saying? So whatever I tell you, I'm giving you a bargain. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they don't understand that. So how do we get the world to? I mean, the people in Japan understand it,
Right.
right?
Well,
But like,
see, that's the point.
right.
It's a choice to hear you or not hear you.
Right.
And then it's a choice for you to do it or not do it. And I think that, unfortunately, part of the way that we may have to consider solving some of the problems is to educate the people and as to what it is that we need and why.
Mm.
They don't know. It's reduced to a line item, but yeah, okay. Now let's talk about this line item.
Right.
And let's talk about the things that they're going to take. And if they're not able to do it, you can't do it.
Right.
But we don't, we settle a lot of times. And it offers sometimes the false narrative that it's okay.
Right. And people get used to that.
Now, part of the thing is that we have to care about what it is that we do enough that the end game for what it's going to be, we can't just say, well, that'll do.
Right.
Yeah, because it sets a bad precedent.
Because it says
right.
it's okay. It says you'll figure it out and you'll make it work. And every time you do that, it sends validation to the unknowing or the uneducated about what it takes.
Yeah.
That it's okay, you'll work it out and you'll figure it out. But they wouldn't do that to the person folding the napkins. They wouldn't do that to the person who's catering. You see what I'm saying? So we also have to see ourselves on a level of making sure that what's up is going to happen. Part of it too is we can't wait till the last minute to do that.
Right.
And we have to know ourselves. And you would be surprised, or maybe not, at the number of musicians and artists that when it comes down to at least the knowledge of what it is that they need, they don't know either. You can't ask for what you don't know.
That's right.
And when it's
You
wrong,
better talk it. I know that's right.
There's nothing to say.
Right.
Because you didn't tell them, and you didn't make it important. You didn't make it seem like something that was of tremendous value towards the end game, which was your performance. And so why should they?
Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
Message.
Where's my soundboard? All right, well, let's get into some of these questions because we can talk about this all day. We just got off of a run. We know, you know what I'm saying? We deal with this on a regular basis, so we appreciate you sharing that insight with us because I feel like a lot of times when we a lot of times when we get together and we talk about these things, we get a lot of feedback from some of the viewers who I'm gonna go out and say a lot of them don't know what the hell they talking about because they don't do it. And I feel like a lot of people always got something to say, but they ain't never done what we trying to do. But they always have in their mind, an easier way to do what they've never done, and we try to shine light on people like that, and because we do our best to stay in our lane. Like a lot of things that we ain't got no business talking about, we try not to talk about it, and if we do, we not on camera, So thank you for bringing some insight on that. I have a question, about film scoring, because we both love soundtracks. We love, we grew up TV. I myself grew up a TV kid. All I did was watch TV, but I only watched the things that had dope music in it. We were talking.
True. I didn't even realize it at the time. Later,
but that's what I'm saying. And so the last episode, we were talking about our favorite soundtracks and things like that. And I know that you've been involved in a lot of soundtracks, but I have my question for you. It's kind of a two-part question. What is your favorite soundtrack? And the second part of that question is if you could share a moment in your career where you realized, what was the creative process like when composing films and television versus writing for yourself?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, first of all, let's go to the soundtrack question. It depends on your definition of soundtrack. Because in the industry, the soundtrack used to include the score, all the ancillary music, all the background music, all the stuff that's playing behind the person getting, not necessarily somebody singing, but somebody, walking down the street or something like this, the murder scene, whatever, all of that was called the soundtrack.
Right.
Now later, when they started releasing some of that music as its own entity, and people started doing more songs or more things that weren't necessarily background and putting that together, that became the definition of, of the soundtrack.
Right.
I was always into score.
Right.
So I didn't really, once they got to the place where the soundtrack was just like an excuse to take the albums and stuff, I was wondering, well, it was the other music that was so well done and really attracted me. So I don't really have a favorite soundtrack per se,
Mm-hmm.
but the art of film scoring is something that has evolved just like everything else. Film scoring used to involve the collaboration between what was happening visually,
Mm-hmm.
because films are little pictures edited together.
Right.
That's how you can go from a car chase to a love scene in a shot. And your brain is what hooks up, oh, these people are involved and so and so, and this is getting ready to happen to these people over here. And but your brain is hooking that up. But music is linear.
Right.
Right.
That's what keeps you in that atmosphere of whatever it is that you're looking at.
Right.
Right. And it's not supposed to get in the way. It is supposed to enhance the picture, the story.
Right.
So that's like having all of the colors in your box, but having to choose the exact right ones
Mm-hmm.
to enhance the visual and the speech and all of this. It's not supposed to interfere. It's supposed to enhance.
Mm-hmm.
That's a technique that the greatest film composers were able to do. They would put you in this mood or in this world, and no matter what you were seeing visually, it allowed for you to have this continuum that kept you inside of it. We've gotten away from some of that now, but that was always really attractive to me. So the creative process of that involves, first of all, looking at the movie, talking to the director, understanding what the overarching story is about, and then, just like they have to do, break that down into sometimes fractions of a second.
Yeah.
In terms of what's going to happen. You just don't write the music just left to right like you would if you were writing a song or if you were writing, a piece or something like this. Everything that you write has to work with a visual and has to work inside of milliseconds to what it is that is going on, which is why that if you were to just listen to just the score, it's not like you could hum it all. You might have certain thematic material that recurs.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the specifics of how of the writing, it's a different mindset.
Now, what about theme songs? Slightly different, but just because you have a record of theme songs, I have like a theme song cover band actually. So something that we're really into it. I don't know if it's because like we're latchkey TV children, maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
TV is different.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm getting to. So, like, but you've done some theme songs in your career, but were you into them before you did it, or was it just like a job for you? Because I feel like it's like a major influence on me, now, just because of things I grew up watching and being a musician. Like, I just
Tell me
incorporate
some
that.
of the theme songs that you liked, the themes to shows that you like.
I love.
Don't open that box.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Alan Thicke in that regard. So I love Different Strokes and like the '80s ones, and I really love Living Single, Different World.
Okay. Gotcha.
Stuff like that.
So writing the theme for TV, that's a specific assignment.
Right.
You have X number of seconds, and you're supposed to come up with something that is going to offer the certain kind of texture of the show, but at the same time, something memorable, so that when you're in the kitchen going to get your sandwich and you hear the theme to so-and-so, it's on and you go to it.
Right.
When you think about themes like what you mentioned, themes like Sanford and Son, things like Ironside, things like Perry Mason, things like that, you can hum those right away. What those, Lassie, I don't know, there's so many. That is an art also, to be able to find something identifiable that is going to happen in 60 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds, usually 60. And that's going to work in order to kind of frame the series or frame the the idea or ideal of the show. And when they're really well done, then you can remember them. They don't need to necessarily have words.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes there'll be a unique sound that's attracted. That's part of the thematic material. But yeah, there's an art to that, and some of the greatest themes, all of them hit that mark.
Let's talk about Hollywood Shuffle for a second, though.
Oh, wow.
Because if we talking about things, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about Hollywood Shuffle and, working with Robert Townsend and working with Paul Mooney. And to be a lot of people. And here's the crazy thing about that movie. Like, I'm a person, I like the B-side shit. Like, I like things that people don't really take the time to do the research on, because I do that research. And, I've always been, one of my dreams is to score film. I had the opportunity at one point in my career where there was this HBO show called Vinyl. I'm not sure if you remember it, but it only had one season. But hey, I'm grateful to have been a part of something like
Bobby
that.
Cannavale.
But I was, it was done at Electric Ladyland in New York City, and Martin Scorsese was there. And it was just like the funnest thing that I ever did in my life. And one of the things that I did over the pandemic was I made a record, because I had nothing but time, as I'm sure a lot of people did. But I made this record like of all of my favorite songs from movies, and and it's something that I really, really want to do. What can I do to be a part of something like that? Like, what advice would you give to me or to other people, in finding their, because I think Hollywood Shuffle was the first movie you did, right? So,
Yeah.
like, I wanna find my Hollywood Shuffle. I want to put my foot in the door, because I know a lot of cats who I could call on and make a really good movie score, if given the opportunity. That's what.
Right.
Can I call you? I can call you.
The thing about it is this: Hollywood Shuffle landed in my lap because, and I think this is valuable. Hollywood Shuffle landed in my lap not because Robert Townsend knew me as a film scorer. I was the only person on the list of composers when he went to, composers have agents.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was going around, it was his first film now, remember that.
Mm-hmm.
When he was going around looking for composers, he saw all of these names of all these people, but he hadn't really paid attention to who they were. So he didn't know them. He went to the agency that I had happened to just have signed with. I mean, my name was probably in pencil. But I'm the only name that he
recognized.
Yeah.
Because of his being a fan
Mm-hmm.
of the records that I had done and the songs that I've done.
Right.
My point is this. You can never afford not to do your best because you don't know who's looking at it, who's listening to it,
Another bar.
and where that name might come up again as a familiarity moment, which allows for you to get the gig over somebody who maybe is very well established. So that's point one. He saw my name on a list, and I was the only one whose name he immediately recognized. The second thing is preparation. Because film scoring is not just something, I'm just going to put this music to this movie. It's an assignment, because I'm telling you that it's based first and foremost on the visual aspects of the story. So you can't come in writing what you want to write necessarily unless what it is has relevancy to the visual and the story. So you have to learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from practice, just like everything else musically that you know how to do. And you already have a certain aptitude for storytelling based upon the songs you write. You already have an understanding of music based upon, your being able to play. But that does not mean that you don't have to practice being in collaboration of support and using your expertise to support what is going on in the best possible way and to find the right thing. So that takes some practice. Hollywood Shuffle for me was a gem and a gold mine because if you recall, the subject matter of the picture was as a Black actor, Robert's character saw himself in playing roles like Superman and Rambo and all these other films that he could never get because he was always cast as the pimp or the slave or something like this. So that meant that the musical vocabulary for the film had to include things that sounded like Superfly and things that sounded like the score to Rambo or the score to Superman. It had to be orchestral, and then it also had things that had to be funky.
Right.
He also wanted a couple of songs for the idea of being able to relate, to the audience that was going to see the film. So this was like the gumbo of film scoring for me, because every style of music that I had ever worked in the context of recording was called upon. And so that one movie set up a lot of different things for me because people heard the writing in an orchestral context and they heard the writing in a funky context and they heard the writing in all out of this one movie because of its subject matter. And then from that, Robert got 5 HBO comedy specials. And he asked me to music direct all 5 of those. So what I'm telling you is that it's the preparation that you do in terms of what you want to do that leads you to the possibilities of these other things happening. The other thing that I could tell you, Nigel, from the standpoint of how do I get to that, to your question, is if you know people, young filmmakers who are making films, whether it doesn't matter if they're independent films, if they're little small situations or something like that, if they're making a long form video and they need scoring, not a song, scoring to get from a particular moment to the song. Those are places where you can offer to be in service of that particular director's needs or that artist's needs. And when you do that, what you are practicing is that very muscle that allows for collaboration and your expertise of music for you to be able to shape how you're going to best serve it. And then, like I said, that takes practice. So that's what makes the difference between somebody who just put music on something and somebody where the music is integral to what it is that it's about. And that's why you don't forget it.
Right.
Okay, we're going to take a slight pause.
You so cold, Patrice. You know that? You so cold-blooded. I'm over here trying to stay in my skin right now, man. But y'all can see me cheesing like a mother. Boy, look, we're going to take a short pause. We'll be right back after these messages. And we got Patrice Rushen. I'm Nigel Hall.
I'm Derrick Freeman.
Here's the Shadow People, y'all. We'll be right back.
Boy, I'm telling you. You know what? But yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm just trying to keep it cool because I don't want to look silly on the podcast. But he knows. I'm like, we fully geeking out right now, just so you know. I'm very appreciative of you being here right now.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We had to get ourselves together because we're talking to the greatest of all time, Patrice Rushen. Today, I'm Nigel Hall.
I'm Derrick Freeman.
And you are now in tune to the Shadow People. Again, thank you for coming to hang out with us. We really appreciate this. This is really big for all of us. And, you are, as you know, you're one of my favorite keyboard players. To have somebody in my top 5 on the show is like ridiculous.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, because I think we've talked about that before. And, it's always neck and neck. 1 and 2 for me can be Herbie or George. It's like one day it could be Herbie, like kind of right now, today, it's kind of Herbie, because we were talking about soundtracks in the last segment, and the soundtrack that I've been listening, and as you explained all of this particular soundtrack came to mind because it's the one I'm listening to right now, and it's The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Oh.
Yeah, from top to bottom. I mean, and like that's one of my favorite movies, first of all, but I feel like Herbie's intuition in making that film, I feel like it was so easy for him, but because he's Herbie, but there's so much music. The music itself really makes the scenes pop off the way that they do, you know? And so I've been listening to that. But I want to know who your top 5 is.
Stanley Clarke got to play with all of them, by the way. I'm just putting that out there.
Yes, of course.
He's the luckiest one.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's crazy? I almost wore my Stanley Clarke shirt today too. I almost did. I had to switch it up because they ain't go with the shoes. But yeah, who's your top 5?
Top 5 in terms of
your top 5 piano players, piano, keyboards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you mentioned Herbie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Gee, George Duke, you mentioned also one of mine. Chick Corea, Keith Jarrett, Wynton Kelly.
Okay, that's.
What is that? Is that 5?
Yeah, that's 5.
That's a great 5.
That's a solid.
There's no bunch of them that.
Hey, go top 10. Yeah. Go top 10. We'll go
You
around
know,
the room
okay.
for this.
So let me see. Nat King Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I know people will sleep on that one.
Yeah.
He was a fine pianist. You know, and then of course, Oscar Peterson, Bill Evans.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that come to mind right off the top. But I've heard, you know, I continue to be impressed, you know, with certain people who have developed, you know, good piano technique, good skills, and are able to get their point across in what it is that they play.
Do you have a list of people who you listen to now who you're into in terms of piano players?
You know, it's not a list, but there are people that I like, you know, or people that I'm interested in what it is they're doing. Rennie Rosnes comes to mind. Eliana Elias comes to mind. You know, I kind of float between different things depending on the style. Nigel Hall comes to mind.
Oh, you ain't had to say all that.
Yeah, I did. So, you know, it kind of depends now, the mood that I'm in and what's happening.
Although I like that you said it.
When people connect in a certain way musically, it almost doesn't matter. They don't necessarily have to be a keyboard player either to connect with me in a way that informs my playing.
Right.
What I mean is, there could be a saxophone player or a trumpet player or a singer or something where something that they do connects in a musical way and informs, you know, what I would do. There may be a classical composition or a particular type of orchestration that then influences, you know, a certain approach that I might have. So it's a lot of different things, which is why it's cool to kind of keep your ears open and be open to a lot of different kinds of music also.
Mm-hmm.
You know, music from other countries and you know, different takes on being able to organize those 12 notes and the ones in between.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you have that outlook because you also are a multi-instrumentalist as well. You don't just play keyboards, you play bass. Hello, come on somebody. You play bass, you play drums, you play it all. And I just watched the podcast not too long ago where unbeknownst to me, because I think I know every damn thing as it is, but I learned that was you playing on everything on Remind Me.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
yeah, yeah. I didn't play drums on it, but all the other stuff, yeah.
All the other stuff, yeah. How did you, when you started?
Who did play drums on that?
James Gadson.
Okay then.
James Gadson.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
That
finest, wonderful, funkiest drummers ever, musical guy.
And you know what's crazy about James Gadson? James Gadson is one of the dopest drummers ever of all time. He's also in my top 5. But he's just playing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No Phil Collins. Meaning no fills. You know? Like it was and that song is so special really to me. First of all, because of the Rhodes solo. The Rhodes solo is like the dopest thing in the world. Anybody, in fact, I think that when I talk to people who don't really know or can't really pinpoint what a Rhodes actually is, there are 3 songs that I give them. I give them Remind Me, I give them Sun Goddess by Ramsey Lewis.
Ramsey Lewis.
Because and the Ramsey Lewis version, not the Gratitude version.
Yeah.
Because although he's still playing the Rhodes, just the sound of this one is just like this is essential Rhodes piano playing.
Yeah.
And I give them Statement by George Duke from the album Feel, because just those particular sounds are the ones that got me. And since we're talking about that, when I was a child, I'm having my fan moment right now. When I think I was about 6 or 7, and I was staying at my aunt's house, and my aunt had a Patrice Rushen record, and she had 2 of them. She had Shout It Out and Let There Be Funk. And when I heard Let Your Heart Be Free for the first time, and I'm just saying this right now, there might be a Nigel Hall cover of that song coming soon.
Go right ahead.
And I would love to have you on it if you would be down to do that. But because I'm doing a lot of work on records right now. But man, when I heard that song, that to me is the baddest song ever. And I don't want to be. No, that's all I'm gonna say, because I could go even further than that. But this leads me to my question here: is can you share a moment in your career when you realized that your music was making a cultural impact on the whole thing? You know what I'm saying?
I'm just now wrapping my head around that.
Yeah.
I'm just now, and it's because I'm getting, at this stage of my career, having done a lot of things, one of the things that I am kind of getting back to is the performance aspect, because of the request of people wanting to hear that music played by me.
Yeah.
I didn't do a lot of that. I did a little bit of touring during the 80s, and we used to, do that to help to promote the albums and stuff like that. But I also was involved in trying to do the film scoring thing and TV, and I was, teaching, and those things I love.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a platform to be able to offer certain kinds of information, learn some things that I wanted to learn, and use some of those things. But it kind of removed me a little bit from the feedback about the music. So as years have gone by, and now we have the internet and TikTok and all kind of other kind of things. People dance.
You had a huge song on TikTok. I forgot about that.
And all of these kinds of things go viral, et cetera, have brought back into the fold that music that at the time we were just doing what we do. I was just doing what I do. And now, in being able to get out a little bit and play the music and see somebody 7 years old singing the same song as somebody 70, then it begins to dawn on you, maybe some of this, people really do like this. And it really got over a period of decades. Mm-hmm. Not that I was unaware of its being out there, but now I'm even more conscious of how everything, not just the music, but the imagery of the album covers,
right?
What I have done and the ways in which I've tried to just live my life have allowed for people over time to be able to be a part of this journey in a personal way and grab onto it at any point during that journey in a way that is consistent with what it was I was trying to do, which was just play music and do and the joy in which all music gave me to be able to offer some of that.
Now, I have a second question along those same lines about you doing what you do. And just like in the time you came up, like we mentioned it, there's a lot of men, George Duke, Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea. You were involved in all that, but still like a personal icon to a lot of people who love that genre of music. And for you, like being a musical icon, how do you feel about being like an iconic woman, an iconic Black woman, especially in the time that you were coming up and the things that were happening? Is it because you were in Los Angeles? Did you have a easier way? Was it easier would it have been harder if you were in Atlanta or Philly or New York? How did you navigate all that and still maintain yourself as your own entity amongst all that. I guess misogyny, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right.
I guess I was.
That's a great question.
That is a terrific question. I was very, very fortunate because by the time I got serious about wanting to have a music career, which was about high school, some of the really, really hard work in terms of breaking down and opening, kicking down doors and the possibilities of stepping into it and some of the challenges of being first had already happened. A lot of women before me had already opened a certain kind of door primarily to the idea that it was possible. It wasn't done, but to the idea that it was possible. Some of my first gigs were with Abby Lincoln, Melba Liston. And these were women that had really made an impact and a mark. Black women who had made an impact and a mark on the possibility. Melba Liston in her writing, her big band writing particularly, she played trombone. If you know, you know. And if you don't, find out.
Right. Yeah. Do the research.
Abby Lincoln, the whole idea of a certain kind of pride and for that time particularly, a more Afrocentric approach in her look and in her way in which she expressed, that opened the door of possibilities for somebody impressionable like me. The other part of it, and this is the part that is where the blessing and the good fortune came in, is that my high school experience with people who wanted to play this music was primarily with, young men, but they were more concerned about the music than anything else. And because I was serious about the music and could get the parts played, or write, or whatever would need to be done, learning those things, we had those things in common, and they overrode any of the perception of the girl in the band. So I was very well protected most of the time. Very well protected. From the standpoint,
So you can sort of hear that in the music too, actually.
I could just do what I do because I knew that the people who were my friends and the community around me, that was the overarching moment, was about the music and the music making. So by the time I became a professional, and it wasn't until then that I even got an inkling of other people's bias or other people's thing. Oh, cat was out the bag and I was already out there. So the confidence that gave me in being able to do what I do, I think was one of the things that I didn't have to at least always confront. And so I think from that standpoint, my goal was to just continue to do really well. And so you're female, and in order to do it, you got to be twice as good. Well, then get on with it. Get on with it. Get on with being that. Get on with being better. Get on with all of that. So I didn't have quite the same burden that maybe some of my other counterparts, including those of my generation, or after, may have encountered in terms of those kinds of biases. I had already been given permission to keep going.
Right. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful. Hey, come on with it. All right, and you mentioned you wanting to get serious around high school, but Questlove, he gave me not a long time ago when I lived in New York. He gave me a hard drive with all of the raw footage of every episode of Soul Train, and I was watching one day, and I saw a familiar face coming down,
or something.
coming down the Soul Train line. And
no, I used to dance on Soul Train. That's right.
She used to dance on Soul Train.
Okay.
No, she hadn't put one record out yet.
Okay, all right. No, I didn't know about that.
I was just a kid in the crowd.
She came down like this. She said,
I gotta find that.
I run it. You come back. I'll show it to you. I run back. I said, that sure looked like Patrice Rushen. and then she went up to do the Soul. I think he went up to do the Soul Train.
Scramble board.
The scramble board.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was her. She still sound like she do right now.
That's amazing.
You know what's funny about that? Is that when they moved, Soul Train originally was Don Cornelius had it in Chicago.
In Chicago, yeah.
And when he moved it to LA, I don't know where I was where he made some kind of announcement, to the kids in the community that there's going to be this show and so on and so forth. And so we were, this looks like fun. And so, we would roll down there, and we would tape like 2 shows a day on a weekend. And you would get a chicken dinner and a Coca-Cola, and get to dance on the show. This was dope. And so, I said, well, let's go. And you could see these guests. And I think I had a chance to ask Bill Withers a question. And it was all kind of stuff going on. And, wear all your cute stuff and everything. So I was just a kid, going down to this place to dance. And of course, Soul Train became the iconic cultural figure in terms of television and African-American sensibilities. It became one of those primary things that people look to. But man, yeah, I enjoyed so much that idea. That was also a teaching moment. I didn't know it at the time because things are happening to you. You don't always see it at the time. But I look back on that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I could see the reaction of people, including myself, to talent, to music,
Mm-hmm.
to African-American pride, to looking out there and seeing those people behind the scenes who were putting it together, the cameramen, the production assistants, and I got to get a bird's eye view of all of the support that happens when everybody has pride in what it is that they're bringing to the bigger purpose. Huge lesson.
Mm.
Now, we're not thinking about that when you see me on the Soul Train line, but there's other stuff.
Right, there's other stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love how you brought that back because that's how we started. That's how we started the episode. Is about people taking pride in doing what it is that they do. Because
that is why innately you appreciate it so much when you see people do that. Now that should be how it always is. But there's a part of every human being that does still, fortunately, resonate when you see somebody operating from a point of excellence.
That's real. There's so many bars in this episode. We're gonna have to have a bar counter on here because this is gonna be crazy, man. What song do you wish that you wrote?
Ooh.
Outside of your own?
Oh man, there's so many.
Right.
Well, it's hard because I think that each of us has a particular lane or particular moment that as we grow up. But man, Stevie Wonder has written so many songs.
I knew she was gonna say Stevie. I don't know why.
Did you know that?
I just knew he was gonna say Stevie.
Like, whoa.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could just pick almost any of his, and I'll go, what's that? How do you do that? He's a masterful writer. And even in my teaching, I use a lot of his music when we're talking about the idea of how the flow and the harmony and the lyric and the texture and the cadence and all of that rolls together in order to impart this feeling. I'm sure he's not necessarily thinking about all of that when he does it. But when you break down even some of his most simple, when I say simple, I mean popular songs, when you break them down to see how we get from over here, over there, man, you can listen to a song like Golden Lady and go, okay, hold up. We started off in this key.
Yeah.
Before we got to the B section, we in this key. And when we get to the end, we just modulating through all the keys. And it's so smooth. It's like, have I been cut? You can't even tell. It's so smooth.
Am I bleeding?
Oh, am I bleeding? Another tune that's like that, man, is that he wrote, that Michael Jackson recorded is
Can't Help It.
Can't Help It.
Mm-hmm.
When you check the harmony of the song and the chords of the song, you go, what?
Yeah. That's one of my favorites to play, too.
When you listen to a song like Too High.
Mm-hmm.
We used to dance to Too High.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you break down what's going on in too high, you're like, okay, hold on.
Ain't no more dancing.
What? Hold up. So the idea is that that gave me a certain, I don't know, just a certain understanding that, it's about the feeling first. You don't have to identify anything else except for that part and be willing to go there, but it makes musical sense and emotional sense.
Right.
And so yeah, you can pick any of his stuff and I'm like, wow.
I talk about Stevie all the time in terms of like when I'm playing and I say like, hey man, it sounds simple, but try to get it under your fingers and you'll see how simple it is. Because amazing. I hate playing in the key of B, and it seemed like every song he never wrote is in the key of B, so like I think playing his music, or at least trying to play his music, got me somewhat better in the key of B. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to just do it, I think. Yeah. And you mentioned that there's an album that I really, really love where everyone dope on the planet Earth who invented music is on. And it's Nigel, and y'all did that whole Songs in the Key of Life record. Oh, man,
I love that record.
And it's Mark Simmons on drums. Yes, Mark is on the record. George Duke, I think Joe Sample might be on it also.
I think so.
Chuck Rainey, Bernard Purdy, Kirk. I mean, it is the 92 All-Star game. Like it's everybody. It's like Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan and
I remember when
David Robinson.
When Mark got that gig. Right?
Oh man, that was the crazy. And we still listen to it to this day. Stanley's on the record. I was on the road with filling in for my brother DJ Harrison with Butcher Brown, and I think we listened to that record the entire way, and it was like having a mosh pit in the van. Like we was all like this. My neck still hurt. My neck hurt.
First of all, it has to be, because like if you're gonna take on the task of Songs in the Key of Life, like
you know what I'm saying,
you can't like present that in a way it has to be.
But I think the best part of that record was y'all were doing the Stevie Wonder songs, but it was so many
musical,
creative geniuses and cultural and musical icons.
That's what it took
in the room that it wasn't just going to stay there.
Right.
It's because it's like, okay, one of the things that George told me personally before he passed away was he could tell that I was probably his biggest fan, and it might have been a little concerning at the time, but he said, despite the fact that, and I think I might be quoting him verbatim actually, because I've listened to it so many times, but he said to me, despite the fact that you love my music and love what I do and love what I play, somewhere in that, you should be able to take that to the next star and do things that I can't do. And he reaffirmed it and was like, you can do that. And it took me a long time to really understand that. But once I figured it out, I'm like, oh, that's right. Because we all are individual people. We all are individual entities of the whatever it is that's allowing us to exist on Earth together. So we all are being used differently from that source. And that is what the beautiful thing is about individuality in terms of music.
I think it has to do with the way we learn things.
Right.
Human beings learn things three ways. The first way you learn something is by imitation. Second thing is assimilation. And the last one is innovation.
Right.
We don't skip those steps, and you can't. You learn to walk like that.
Right.
You learn to walk by watching other people walk, and then decide, you know what? Pick myself up off this floor and try to do that.
Right.
And you fall and you get up and you holding on to the coffee table, but you fall and you get up, but you're learning how to do it. Okay, so you get that together, and then you realize, oh, if I move my feet faster, I'm running. Oh, if I move my feet up and down off the floor, I'm jumping. Oh, in other words, this walking thing becomes a lot of other things.
Right.
You are assimilating, walking, and using the technique of moving faster, moving slower, longer steps, shorter steps, whatever it is you have to do. You don't even realize until later what's being innovated. And that would look like this. Nigel walking down the street, a couple of blocks ahead of you, Derrick, and you going, oh, look, I believe that's Nigel right there. And somebody say, well, how can you tell? Say, well, I know the way he's walking. Now, like music and what you were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When someone else's musical taste or musical consciousness resonates with yours in a particular way, i.e. the way that George resonated with you, and you say, man, that's the way I want to be able to communicate. The first thing you do is you try to copy it. And in your trying to copy it and understand what it is and understand how it relates, you will assimilate. You will use part of it in every aspect of what it is that you do. And somewhere along the way, without you really paying that much attention, as long as you're growing and staying open, you're going to make a left turn where George may have made a right. You're going to go up where he may have gone down. Because then it's going to feel right to you, and you'll have so much confidence on the basis of the things that you learned by imitation and assimilation that ultimately what will happen is a uniqueness that comes that is strictly yours. But we get caught up sometimes, and I say the general we, in thinking that we have to innovate everything. But you can't do that until you've done step one and step two. And that is why so many people that are out here that think they're all that because they're being innovative, it's not standing on anything.
Right.
And so therefore, I can't think of one person who has ever been innovated anything that wasn't standing on the shoulders of something that had come before them, and that they got so deep into that understanding propelled them to that next level. So lots of people may have different points of view on that, but I really think that's what's up.
that is what's up.
Yo, man.
Wow.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Well, you heard it first, folks.
That's it. Incredible.
Just a couple more questions and we're gonna get out of here because we know we know you got things to do. Favorite instrument besides piano?
Favorite instrument besides bass.
Okay.
Wait.
Why you
Plainly put. No, I'm just saying because you know what, and I think it's because I play bass too, and I think that it's because as keyboard players, we supposed to play lead, harmony, and melody sometimes at the same time. But you know, there's a I don't know. It's just a thing when you play bass for yourself. Yeah. Sometimes, like what it's intuitive. I think, you know. So I think that's why I have such a. And also I think
with bass and drums. There's always.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And I think for me too. I think that also before I even wanted to be a keyboard player, I wanted to be a bass player because my father showed me Stanley Clarke. And I've been listening to Stanley Clarke since I was 4 years old. The first record he ever sat me down and listened to was Romantic Warrior by Return to Forever. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I went to school listening to all that shit. People looking at me like I'm crazy. You know, like, who is this kid talking about Chick Corea? You know what I mean? So, and then you know, I guess as I got older, like I really wanted to play bass, and then 9 years old, I found "Feel" by George Duke, and it's just been downhill ever since. What is your dream collaboration?
Oh, woo!
Or have you had it already? I mean, you know,
I don't know. I love working with different people. It's always the challenge is finding, that balance of how you bring something to the table and absorb the idea that different combinations will create something different in you that neither one of you would have done on your own.
Right.
So that can look like a lot of different things. So that can look like a group collaboration. It can look like a one-to-one. It can be. That's why I particularly liked film scoring. Some composers don't like it, but I particularly liked that dynamic. So I don't know. I don't know that I've had the dream one yet. Man, I'm living the dream every day. So
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
I know that's right. All right. Can you share a funny moment or memorable story from your time working with other legendary artists?
Oh man, every artist that I've ever worked for has offered some piece of knowledge about how to do this, including what not to do. But I think one of the stories that I would share has to do with Prince. So I'd known him for some time, or we had met early on. I recorded some stuff for him, collaborated in that kind of situation where he asked me to do something for him, and I did. And there were two things that came over time, over a series of years that happened. First of all, his career just, it blew up, as you know. And about the time he was getting ready the movie Purple Rain was going to come out, he was really concerned about it. For whatever reason, and I'm not sure what it was, we happened to be in New York at the same time. And I was staying at the same hotel. I didn't know that. He called and said, I'm downstairs, come down to the restaurant, which was closed, by the way. So I went down to meet him, and we were, able to talk and everything. And he shared with me his concern about, man, I may have bit off more than I could chew in this film. I said, well, wait a minute, did you do the best you could? He said, yeah. I said, well, then you have to let it go. It's going to be what it's going to be. But your best on your worst day.
Right. Yeah, for real.
So if you did that, whatever the situation would be, I'm sure it'll be cool. And I was being reaffirming, but I was also being truthful because I knew from an artistic standpoint, and that was our relationship, artist to artist. I understood the idea of jumping into another area that had another set of concerns and obstacles and things like this, but that his expertise was transferable. But like anybody else, human beings, we need reassurance sometimes, based in truth, not just fluff,
right?
But based in truth, and there was a certain trust in being able to say that. Now, of course, we went to the premiere, and everything, it blew up and everything, and that's history.
Yeah, right.
Same thing happened again decades later when I was music director of the Grammy Awards. It was my first year doing it. And he and Beyoncé opened the show. They had a rehearsal. Everything was cool. I went, made sure everything, my job, making sure everything is okay. The rehearsal within the time frame, blah, 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 blah. Everything's good. Get the technical aspects of it straightened out. And day of show, they run the whole Grammy show down before you see it broadcast. They do that because the Grammys is live, and it was live at that time, and they had to make sure that the set changes and all of that could happen in real time. So they would run the whole thing. Okay, so Prince and Beyoncé were going to open the show, so they set for the top of the show. And a few minutes before they were supposed to run it, the producer of the show comes over to me and he says, aren't they using a little bit of Pro Tools for like some reinforcement of some background vocals and blah, 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 blah? I said, yeah. He says, I don't want him to do that. I want him to go live. Just do it. Nothing. And I'm saying,
okay, right.
That ain't what we rehearsed.
Right.
We ain't do all that.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, you go tell him. So I walk up to the stage.
Oh man.
How you doing? Good. Everything good? I said, well, let me ask you something. Come over. I'm looking around, making sure none of the microphones are on. We in the Staples Center, which is now
Yeah.
crypto, right? I said, look, the producer is asking that you can go live, that you not use any enhancements or nothing like that. And he says, why? And I says, I don't know. I'm just delivering the message. So then he says, what would you do?
Oh man.
So I said, well, I'll just put this out there. I said, no one in the truck is prepared for that. No one in the house, the sound is prepared for that. Cameramen, they're not prepared for that. In other words, all of the things that you have rehearsed that everybody has in their area put together so that it will come off in the broadcast, none of them are aware of this. I said, you are the top of the show. You're going to run this now, and the next time you run it, it's going out to the world. He says, okay, tell him no.
Yeah.
Now, my point of it is, of course, that was the right decision. But
Right.
my point of it is that that's the kind of trust that he had in my ability to tell him the truth, to lay the landscape so that he would understand. And that's what I say when I say that is we take it for granted sometimes that the community of artists also have a responsibility to each other.
That's
and
right.
that is to be able to offer what it is that we are about in such a way that it's not competition, it's community.
Right.
I understand because I feel that. I understand because I know where you're coming from. And it doesn't matter if you've had 1,000,001 bestsellers or if you just bad at home. The
Right.
idea is that the support of what it takes to be an artist, the support of what it takes to be inside of a community that is offering up parts of ourselves is really key. And when you have that kind of feeling with somebody, when you have those kinds of conversations with the different artists that you know, when you have that kinds of conversation with your peers, you'll be able to pick and choose and determine who's really coming from that place of their truth. And you'll want to help them, serve them in that way so that they will do the same for you.
Man, well, there it is, folks. I mean, if y'all have not been tuned into just a show full of bars today, this one was it. I'd like to thank you so much for hanging out with us today and showing up for us. We really, really appreciate you, and we appreciate everything that you continue to do for us as musicians and in our community and in our culture. And me personally, I appreciate you for the influence that you have given me and continue to give me to be and do the best that I can do. So thank you so much for showing up. And I really appreciate you. And I can't wait to come and give you a big old hug next time I come out to LA, but you big time, so I can't get to you.
Let me know.
But I always let you know when I come out there, and next time I come out there, I really hope we can hang out. And
That'd be awesome.
Thank you for coming out.
You're welcome.
And hanging with us.
And let me wish you guys success on your podcast. And one of the things that I love is in the conversation, it allows for there to be certain areas where just by what you're talking about, just the subject matter of what you're talking about, leads to a better understanding of the landscape that we do what we do in.
Right.
That's what people are interested in, and I think that that's what they want to know. And some of that is always behind the curtain.
Right.
It's part of the magic and the music of what we do. But I think if some of it is exposed a little bit, it helps people appreciate it that much more when we get it right.
Exactly. Well, thank you for again for coming out and hanging with us, and thank you, the viewers, for tuning in this week. I'm Nigel Hall.
I'm Derrick Freeman.
And this is the Shadow People.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See y'all later.
My God. My God.